Namaste and welcome to the 63rd episode of TeaTalk. म तपाईँहरूको साथी सिलु आज यो प्लेटफर्मबाट सबैलाई ह्याप्पी मेमोरियल डे पनि भन्न चाहन्छु। अनि आज पनि अरू दिनहरूमा जस्तै मसँग एकजना स्पेशल गेस्ट हुनुहुन्छ र त्योभन्दा पनि म उहाँलाई मेरो सी इज माई बेस्ट फ्रेन्ड टु एन्ड वी वेन्ट टु द सेम स्कुल सो सी इज द फर्स्ट वान रिप्रेजेन्टिङ महेन्द्रवन गर्ल्स हाई स्कुल वी ह्याड सो मेनी फन मेमोरिज टुगेदर तर त्यो साथीको ठाउँ आफ्नोमा हुँदाहुँदै पनि सी हेज इन्सपायर्ड मी पर्सनली इन मेनी वेज अनि अहिलेमा गर्दा चाहिँ सी इज अ फाइनेन्सियल प्रोफेसनल एन्ड सी अल्सो हेज अ डिग्री इन इन्फर्मेसन टेक्नोलोजी त्यति मात्र होइन सी इज एन अमेजिङ फोटोग्राफर a hiker. Not only that, she's a mother of two beautiful girls. Mostly after parenting strategy, I'm amazed. So let's welcome a very special guest, my very dear friend, Deepa Sarma, to our TeaTalk today. Welcome, Deepa. Welcome to TeaTalk.
Thank you, Silu. Thank you for inviting me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Kosto ramro painting posadi. I love that.
Oh, thank you. I like this printing too. It's kind of give me this, eternal summer and, sunny wave vibe.
Yeah, so no wonder you have that taste. You have that taste in like photography, art and whatnot. Eti धेरैवटा कुरा छ कि मैले अघि भनिरहँदा चाहिँ स्कुलदेखि नै we went to the same school तर कति धेरै कुराहरुमा चाहिँ you have inspired me personally र त्यसको लागि कस्तो thank you भन्न पनि चाहन्छु तर अहिलेलाई चाहिँ introduction tell us about yourself.
Okay, so namaste. So my name is Deepa Kanal and I have been Silu's friend forever since I remember things. So she invited me to do this. And even though I don't like to talk in camera, I said, okay. I'm a mom, I'm a professional, and I'm a friend, Sati, and everything in between. So I came here. I currently based in Virginia, USA. It's near to Washington, D.C. Came to this country for study 25 years ago. And
right, yeah.
It's been 25 years. And I'm working, and I studied, in University of Nebraska, Kearney. I started my undergraduate journey over there. And after that, I did my graduate school in Colorado. So I did it. One of the reasons I did my graduate school in Colorado because I love Colorado because it reminds me of home, and it's home away from home. And after that, after I finished my study, I did my MBA in Colorado, and I came to DC, and I got married, and I started working in one of the financial company here based in DC. So now I manage, the product and project in the financial market. I'm kind of like in the IT side.
Yeah. See, I mean, like you have that financial side, IT side, and I don't know much about it anyway, but so many things from choosing Denver, Colorado, right? Because of the mountains, home away from home, and like all your professional sectors, everything you are managing. And along with that, as you said that you are a mom, right? So tell us about some of the choices that you made in life. पहिला school सकाएपछि सानो दिपाको, what were some of your dreams? And like coming to this end, now you are a mother of two beautiful girls, right? Some of the choices that you took in life or that shaped you who you are today?
I mean, I never thought of coming to, going like out of my country. That was never my dream growing up. I always, wanted to do something at home. And then once I finished my the BA, that, that's what they call it, right? And bachelor's degree in Nepal. So I started working in a banking sector. I used to work in a Himalayan bank. And I don't know, it's after that, something was, in the situation that, is telling me that, maybe I should pursue something, out of this. And at that time, I think it was like the late 90s, everybody was going out of the country and to study. So, and then there's a couple of people in my, work also did the same thing. So I was like, okay, so maybe I should pursue something and see, what's out there rather than, just continue here in IT and then in banking sector and see what's out there. So I kind of approached my parents, and I was already in like early 20s at that time. So typically Nepal, early 20s at that time, right? So you, especially girls, you say like, okay, you get married and you settle down, right? And when I approached my parents, they were like, at first they were like, timi kina jaन्छौ, like you have a good job and everything, and you should just settle down over here. But once I talked them through, and they never, they always encouraged me what I wanted to do, and they never said like, when I said like I really wanted to go and explore things, what's out there, and they said okay, and then they sent me. And one of the things my mom said, like, my mamuले छोरी तिमीलाई मैले अमेरिका पठाउँदैछु, यति बेला तिम्रो बिहा गरिदिन्थ्यो होला, त्यही पैसाले मैले अमेरिका पठाउँछु, good luck, do good over there.
That's beautifully said, eh? Not how many of the parents would say that, right? So that's kind of, yeah, I mean,
so that's how I came to America. And then I came to Nebraska, and I went to school in University of Nebraska Kearney. And at that time it was December, and it was, sometimes when you watch movie, you read book, right? So like you, I love to read book, and I love to watch movie too. So with all these things that I read about America, watch movie about America, I had different pictures in my mind, what America is, right? So when I first landed in my first flight in land was Minnesota, and it was in the middle of December, and Minnesota, it's like full of snow, right? So I was looking down and trying to find like a big buildings and all those things that you see in movie. I couldn't find anything. I was like all white, so I was like thinking, where did I come? And त्यसपछि मैले and एउटा funny story भन्छु म मिनेसोटामा. The plane land भयो. I had layover, like 3-4 hours layover from there to Omaha, Nebraska. And अनि त्यहाँ मैले अब म त first time नेपालबाट बाहिर आएको, and I was looking for त्यत्रो कति घण्टा फ्लाइटमा बसेर आएको, so I was just maybe I was terribly homesick, and looking for somebody I can talk to in the whole there was full of people, but I just couldn't find anybody I know or I could talk to. And this one guy was just kind of like a doing some like a janitorial duty, I think, and he looked kind of like a Nepali. And I didn't know at that time, like हुन्छ नि अब अरु यहाँको हिस्प्यानिक पिपलहरु पनि नेपाली जस्तो देखिन्छ भनेर मलाई थाहा थिएन त्यति बेलामा. सो मैले चाहिँ म एकदम खुसी भइरहेँ, नेपाली मान्छे रहेछ, मैले फर्स्ट टाइम नेपाली भेटेँ, अब म नेपालीमा गएर कुरा गर्छु भनेर I went and told तपाईँ नेपाली हो भनेर. He just looked at me like I was crazy.
Oh my God, yeah, that happened to me too. Okay.
And I was also like, कस्तो खाले मान्छेले चाहिँ मैले सोधेको क्वेशनको आन्सर पनि दिदैन मलाई. I was totally in my mind that he was Nepali, so and but he turned out to be a Hispanic fella, and he said what, and then I suddenly realized that he was not Nepali, so I just moved on. And flight to Nebraska, when I landed in Omaha, my brother came to pick me up. And when we drove, and I just saw like these low houses and then just snow everywhere. And I was kind of depressed, like, where did I come? I left my career, right? So as a banking professional. And since I was already working at that time, and then coming to like this, I'm like, my America in my mind was totally different than what I saw on the ground. So it was just kind of shocked me at first.
Right.
So that's where that's what my like initial journey. And I went to school, and then there's a lot of things happen. I think, like a lot of things that I didn't expect, that growing up in Nepal, that kind of culturally shocked me. Like working in a cafeteria, doing things that you normally don't do in a back in Nepal, right? Being like the family we're from, and but it taught me a lot. Looking back, I think the experience I had, all the experience that when I was in college, I did all the dirty works, like from washing dishes to folding clothes and everything. That shaped my life as who I am today. And then it just taught me the work ethic. Like work is work. It's nothing good or bad, as long as you have work ethic and you do whatever's like you do. The one thing it taught me was, like, when I was working in cafeteria, my manager was working beside me, washing dishes sometimes, right?
Right.
And that kind of first shocked me, like, okay, in Nepal, hakimle ta kehi pani gardaina,
Right. Yeah.
so that's what I was like. Hakim never does like a low job like with your colleagues, like in same level, right? So that's my first lessons as come to America. It's like, work is work, no matter what. It was as long as you have a work ethic and you work well, and there's no low job and high jobs.
Right.
So, and looking back, it's things that, those kind of things, that little things that I did, taught me a lot and shaped me who I am now.
How beautiful. अहिले बताइरहँदा, तिमीले बताइरहँदा पहिलोचोटि अमेरिका आउँदा पहिलोचोटि स्नो देख्दाको हुन्छ नि, you're in Kearney, I was in Omaha. त्यतिखेरको all those memories are kind of like coming as flashback in my mind too. अनि only a person who is a great, I don't know, a poet, a photographer can bring all those small stuff together and put in a one single piece, and as you are presenting right now. त्यो कस्तो मिठो मिठो सानो कुरा, क्याफ्टेरियाको एक्सपिरियन्सदेखि नेपाल छोड्दाकोदेखि हिउँ देखेकोदेखिलाई कति राम्रोसँग बताउँदा चाहिँ भनिहालेँ नि, only a photographer can do that. I can almost see it the way you are explaining to it. You went when you are ready to talk to that guy, right? So सबै कुरा पिक्चर आएको जस्तै भइरहेको थियो तिमीले बताइरहँदा, र that is most of us, I mean, who have come to America as a student, हैन, नयाँ कुराहरू सिकिरहेकोमा, नयाँ कुराहरू फेस गरिरहँदामा, probably many of us share the similar kind of experiences.
Yeah.
But you, as I have known you since school days, and like I have been inspired by you in many different levels, tell us a little bit about the photography, because अहिले पनि बताइरहँदा चाहिँ त्यो हरेक कुराको चाहिँ एक किसिमले पिक्चरै आइरहेको थियो. अनि from you, since that time, I have, oh my God, Deepa has taken all these pictures. अनि banking side of Deepa, coming to US Deepa, and all those small things. How do you see yourself growing or making choices? Why didn't you become a photographer, and why didn't you come to study photography? And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you have hobbies, right? I had hobbies, and I love taking pictures. I still do, but I don't do it as often as I used to do it. And then I bought my first very like a Nikon camera with all the money that I saved from working in summer jobs, so it cost me like almost $300. That was like so much money at that time. I still have that. It was a manual camera, so manual Nikon camera with a long lens. I always loved taking picture, but I didn't choose it as a professional because of a practical reason, right? So because I came to this country, and you just when you come to in the country that's completely new to you, and then you're just trying to make a sense out of everything, and then how to survive and all those things. So I just had to make a choice of what makes more sense, what is more practical, to make myself survive in this country, rather than going after my hobby, right? So it's one of those things that like I love yoga too. I've been doing yoga since I was 16 years old. I could have done that too. And I was a psychology major when, back in Nepal, I could have gone to, the counseling and stuff like that too, right? So I had many choices, but the reason I chose, the IT sector is, being an immigrant, right? And then you, as coming as a student, and then you kind of look for those the opportunity. Where's the most opportunities are, because you're a student. First of all, you need to find a, once you're done with your job, school, you need to find a job, and you need to find a people that they can hire you, and you can legally work and all those things, right? So, and at that time, I think that this sector kind of made more practical sense for me than going to all the other options that I had at that time.
Thank you for answering that, because the reason I asked, like the reason I brought photography like right in the beginning is I have seen the pictures that you have taken. I have seen how you have invested your like emotion, heart and mind grasping all those things, right? अनि त्यो फर्स्ट ह्यान्डमै देखेको भएर चाहिँ जहिले पनि आई वन्डर वाइ दिपाले त यसमा गरे भने कस्तो हुन्थ्यो, त्यसमा गरे भने कस्तो हुन्थ्यो, साइकोलोजीमा त त्यसमा गरे पनि हुन्थ्यो, वाइ दिस, त्यो क्वेसन आउँथ्यो, अझै पनि आउँछ हैन? त्यसको मतलब चाहिँ you have talents in different sector, but as you have said that when we make our choices, what works best at this time, right? Especially as a immigrant people we are, हामीले आफ्नो एउटा ठाउँ मात्र बनाउनु हुँदैन कि एउटा legal status हुन्छ नि, आफ्नो education achievement what not, सबै कुरा गर्दा चाहिँ what should I pick first भन्ने कुरामा चाहिँ
exactly. What makes practical sense to you at that very moment. So yeah, once you pick and choose that options, then I think you just go and run with it, and then and then life happens, right? And one after another, and then you just okay, so this is what I chose. I don't have any regret on choosing the current profession. I like it, but like you said, I could have done so many other things. But I chose this because it made practical sense to it at that time.
Definitely. Thank you for answering that. And now coming to like all those small choices, like giving priorities, what should I pick now and what can I continue later, right? All those, because your photography is there, your counseling part is there, your yoga side is there, you are a hiker, there are so many things, right? So अहिले लिइरहेको choiceले who you are now as a financial professional, also in the IT sector. So all those combination, Deepa, who you are today. So how do you balance your professional life, doing everything beside being a mom who cooks, right? Who cooks for your kids, who takes time to like take them to swimming or whatnot, right? So a mom ra equally professional woman, how we are balancing that?
That's a tough question.
That's it is a lot.
Yeah, it is tough to balance, most of the time, to being professionals, and then being a mom, being there for your kids, and like do everything that you need to do at home and then at work. But I guess after a while, at first, when I first had my first kid, I was kind of nervous how I gonna do it, balance both. But I guess after a while you figure it out, and then you just kind of like have you figure it out, and then you do it, and then you do your best. So that's what I do. I do my best every single day. I'm not perfect. That's my kids always tell me that, because sometimes sometimes like they want to talk to me, but I'm in the middle of the meeting. I'm like, can you wait for 5 minutes? 10 years old wouldn't understand that, right? So, so yeah, so it's, you just learn to balance it, and then I just do it. I guess I learned to do it as a course of time.
Yeah, because I mean, as you have said, that how can 10 years old would understand that? Because sometimes we are the coolest mom, other time we are the meanest mom, right? That
exactly.
It happens like time to time. But at the same time, what is one thing you love doing as an escape from the like hectic office work or from the like kids? What is one of your kind of that quiet zone, which kind of rejuvenates Deepa as you are today?
My quiet zone is always morning, when everybody sleeps, like that's where I do all my things, my yoga, my meditation, my walk, whatever you call it, right? So, my me time, that's my me time, like usually in an hour in the morning where everybody's sleeping, that I get up, I do my yoga, a little bit of meditation, and then I go for a walk. I used to run, but now I don't run that much, so here and there only, but I walk a lot. And then, I do all those things I try to squeeze all those things in within an hour or so. And that's my kind of like a quiet zone, so when I don't have to when I have to think about other things, like peripheral things that happens in my life, right? So, and that's like 1 hour that I can devote to myself, me, not thinking about anything. And sometimes I do, like, oh, it's almost 7 o'clock, I have to pack my kids lunch, I have to make them lunch, breakfast and everything, all those things that comes into my mind. But at least that, that 1 hour that, I kind of give it to myself, I call it a me time. And sometimes, sometimes whenever I'm doing my yoga or whatever I'm doing, like, if one of them wakes up and comes down, I totally lose my mind because I can't concentrate. So,
Yeah.
so I like my that hour in the morning for myself.
That's wonderful. And now tell us, you came from a financial background. You worked in the bank in Nepal as well, right? Himalayan Bank. And here also you are working you got your MBA and you are working in the financial sector as well. So why do you think, and now, you are a woman and you have 2 beautiful girls. So why do you think financial literacy, I would say, or financial freedom is necessary, not like regardless of gender, but especially for girls or women?
Yeah, it's a very important topic. So that's what makes or breaks you, right? So, if you, at least, to have a stable life, you have to have a stable financial, and financial knowledge, financial background, financial, security, whatever you call it, right? So, and I think that's where, especially in this country, where, there are so many things out there that you can just completely go, crazy on things, that if you don't have a financial I would say financial literacy, right? So that's what I try to teach my kids, that you need to know what you want, what your wants and what your needs are. And like, you always have to think twice with your wants, and then needs are needs, but wants are different, right? So you just have to kind of be careful on what how you spend your money, and then what you do with it, because especially in this country, I feel like, because of all these accessible things, right? You have credit cards, this loans, and this and that. So if you are not very careful with your finance, you can just go into the rabbit hole pretty soon.
Exactly.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, even for the kids, they think that mommy doesn't need any cash to buy me things. She has that card, right? So
yeah, everything comes Amazon these days, right? So my kids thinks that Amazon sends things free. So I just have to teach them it doesn't come free. Amazon doesn't teach, if I say like, oh, I don't have money, why don't you buy it from Amazon?
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. So if like again, you are a financial professional, right? You are teaching the same values to your kids as well. But for Deepa, if time and money were not the issue, what is one thing that you wanted to do, you would love to do as a dreamer you could be? Like whether in Nepal or here, anything?
I would travel. I would just go travel everywhere and, like learn people's culture and, like they eat their food, kind of learn from being there and just experiencing firsthand. That's what I would do. And then I would love to, if time and money and even like, time and money is not an issue, then I would love to be maybe that, I don't know, I'd love to be a kind of like a teach people kind of a mindfulness and yoga and stuff like that. So, but my first thing is like, I'd love to travel. So, I would just travel different places. And I love, sometimes I just watch those other countries, like a serials and movie. And then I love to kind of get their culture out of it, so how they, what the culture is, how they react in a normal situation like us, and what they eat, and how all those kind of things kind of give me the kind of secondhand look of their their country and their culture. So I love that. So travel is, I think, my first top of my list.
You didn't even pause at all. I mean, it's right there, right?
Yeah.
So I can see. I'm like, yeah. Oh my God. So if uh, as we talked about the choices in our beginning, right? And now, if time and money were not the issue, you wanted to do this. So all these things coming to you as a mother now, and if you have to teach one thing or advise one thing to your kids or the new generation, like what career they should choose, I mean, how would you do that? Not only as an advisor, but as a mom as well. Uh,
I would say that, I mean, for me, like I said before, that I could have done so many things, but I chose, whatever practical for me. But for my kids, I would say, like, go with what you love, because they don't have to think about, I mean, being in this country, they don't have to think about, being practical, right? So when you do things that you love, you definitely eventually be successful, right? So yeah, so just follow your dream.
Yeah, see, and there is a big leap, right? From us making our place and to the next generation, like go for it, what you love, right?
Yeah.
And I can see that if Deepa was in the, like a small Deepa was now, probably she should have taken your photography or I don't know, so many other
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah, I
Making
know.
the, I don't know, but making those practical choices, bringing you to who you are today and giving the freedom to kids, that's wonderful. But what would be your suggestion to the parents, not only here in US, but in Nepal as well, whose kids want to go abroad for higher education or even in Nepal, if they have like certain dreams, or I love this. So would you suggest the same to the I don't know, to the parents to let their kids follow?
Uh, if Yeah, I think yes. If my parents didn't let me come over here, I would. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say that my life wouldn't be same, right? So life wouldn't have been same that I have right now, but I would be successful over there too. In some cases, right? So, but maybe I would be doing something different than what I'm doing right now over here. But I think at one point that I had a dream of coming over here and doing something, and my parents didn't kind of like be on the way, and they just said like go for it, and then I just dream, just go and do the things that you wanted to do. And I'm very thankful for that, because like usually, like my parents, like in my age, most of the in our country, parents would be like, no, you just have to go get married and then settle down. You already have a good job and you have a career, so why do you want to go and then just start all over again, right? So I'm glad that my parents didn't do that, because this country taught me a lot. And because I at that when growing up in Nepal in a middle class family, you didn't have to do so many things, right? So you just didn't know, like I'm glad that I came over here as a student and I learned those, did that little things, and that taught me so many things, the life skills. So
Right.
I kind of like no matter where you are, I think you should just always encourage your kids to kind of follow their dream. And then just I mean, like my dream at that time was coming to abroad and then being a student and then just pursuing my further studies over here, which my parents was in, I mean, didn't like prevent me from doing it. They even they didn't like maybe like they didn't want me to go because of various reasons that like I was early 20s, the Byaganit time and all those things, right? And people talk like in Nepal, right? So they say like why you're like grown up kids, like you're sending your grown up daughter to America and stuff like that. So my parents didn't do that, so they, even if they encouraged me to go and then like kind of pursue my dream. And I'm very eternally thankful for that. And then I don't regret coming over here and doing all those small jobs to get where I am today. And then I'm thankful that I know for all the experience I had, for my parents not being on my way. So that's what I encourage, like other parents, like just just let sometimes, and we make mistakes, right? So as a kid, and we make mistakes and we learn from there. from our mistakes. So I think, in my opinion, we have to let our kids like follow their dream and then make their mistakes and learn from their mistakes, and then just kind of like the realization from their mistakes. Like, okay, this is what I did, and then learn from their mistakes. No, we can't just like say do this, do that, and then just learn from there, right? So they have to make their own choices. They have to make their those kind of things. So like I'll tell you the small story that kind of, because I came over here with a 2 years leave of absence from my bank, right? So
Okay.
and first 6 months I was kind of like I would say I was depressed, so because it was the winter of Nebraska, it was very and it was totally different. I was doing the job that I didn't want it to do, and I didn't think that I would be doing in my life and stuff like that. And in going, in a winter of Nebraska, there was like a no tree and no flowers and all those things, right? So everywhere I would go to library, I would see like this big tree, and I just go like I would feel so happy about seeing this big green tree, but that was an artificial tree. To this day, I don't like artificial plant. I don't have a single artificial plant in my house. So, and I just hated it because and I would get so depressed because my house in Sipal, right? We had a big gardens with the roses and everything, and lots of fruits and like flowers and fruits trees and everything. That's how I grew up. And then when I first came over here in December, I didn't see all those things, and I was missing all the flowers, all greeneries, and all those things that I had in back home. And I was so depressed. I was ready to go back home. I was like, and I would call my dad, and I was like, oh, there's no flowers over here. Baba, there's no flowers over here. So and then I was just like, and then I was ready to go back, and I was thinking, maybe I should just go back. I have my job back home, and not just leave everything. But I was like, okay, no, I have to be here, just pursue my dream. My parents, kind of like had a hope that because it is my dream, right? I chose this life, not they didn't send me over here, right? So they didn't, and my father would say like, come back if you don't want it, so but I didn't want to do that. So I made my choices, and then I stuck with it. So you just have to let your kids do the same thing. That's what my suggestion to the parents everywhere, that let them follow their dream, and let them make their mistakes and learn from their mistakes.
Of course, I love the way you presented the flower, the seeking flower, the white canvas everywhere, right? Snow and whatnot. So making place at that time, I mean, emotionally as well, right? Not only physically adjusting to the winter and whatnot. So all those struggles that makes who you are today. So any role model in your life, any mentor that shaped you or guided you to make you as you are?
I think not as I mean, there are so many, not one person or one thing. I would say like I came through a lot of people in my life, even my college, or and plus like all the experience that I had, a big or small or anything, all those things. So those are like kind of like things that kind of cumulatively shaped my life of who I wouldn't say like, oh, just one person. There's like a lot of people and a lot of incidents and a lot of life experience that, together just shaped me. Who am I today?
Right. And one thing that you mentioned.
And I would definitely say like, it's my parents are the top of the list, right? So, they are my number one heroes, and they always like rally me around and everything. So, but other than that, just it's a combinations of everything.
Right. And you presented it beautiful, saying combination of everything, because as you mentioned a little bit earlier, that whether you have made the decision to be there in Nepal, remain there in Nepal, you would have succeeded anyway, right? And you have done here. That means, I don't know, grit inside you, a confidence inside you. So making whatever choices in my life, I would have done that, right? And that inner confidence, that glow, that comes only when you are so equipped with many skills, many talents, and know who you are. That is how I have known you, at least. So it's a joy to learn to listen the story from your own experiences. Beautiful flower, like where is the flower? From that to all the small things making who you are. Very like when you are presenting this, I can see a person who has done yoga for so long and who has dreamed to open a yoga studio apart from all those small things, right? And I can see all the combination in you as you who you are today. So I thank you very much for being here today, sharing a cup of inspiration with me again, like in all those years. But before we leave, before we depart, is there anything I forgot to ask you and you wanted to tell to our audience, our friends as a message and whatnot?
I think you asked everything that, but I would definitely, I mean, I would like to thank you for giving me opportunity, even though I was very nervous, but because I have a stage fright, I don't like myself seeing in camera.
No one would
Seeing
believe
in seeing in camera and talking camera, this is, trust me, believe it or not, this is the first time I'm doing it, so I've never done it before. I don't even post any of the videos or anything that me talking, or I'm not very comfortable in camera, but but I guess you made me like talk over here. Just I think I face my fear. And but I think you made it easier because you're my friend, right? So I'm not thinking that I'm talking in this podcast, TeaTalk. I'm thinking like I'm talking to you and telling my story. So that definitely made it easy. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
And thank you for this final word, because when you mentioned that we are facing our fear and we have one day when we face it, I mean, it comes like so normal, right? अनि अघि नै पहिला भनेको कुरा कस्तो चित्त बुझेकोमा म नेपालमै बसेर नेपालमै गरेको भने गरि त हाल्थेँ, यहाँ पनि गरिहाल्थेँ भनेपछि sometimes we kind of put ourselves under one veil, right? Oh my God, what if? But once you face it, and you are just great. And everyday life, all these years, our journey from Mind One School to this day, जसरी सानो सानो कुराहरुमा many things, whether it is choosing a book, reading, हुन्छ नि movies-बाट होस् कि books-बाट होस् कि life skill-हरुबाट होस् कि many things we have shared. र त्यसको लागि as a public way मै पनि I would like to thank you, because friends shape who we are,
Yeah.
As that special thanks goes to you on that regard personally, and also on behalf of this TeaTalk Sathi as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Shilu. It was my pleasure to share my story with you and your audience.
Thank you.